part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Welcome back, everybody, to Podcast 616, the official podcast of Earth 616. I am your host, Damon Royster, and today we have to do it. I'm contractually obligated to do it by Sony. Today we're going to talk about Spider-Man 3, a.k.a. What Went Wrong. Joining me today, we're doing our Spider-Man 3 hand signals. Hell yes. Man, I didn't ask them what I should introduce them as. I'm so sorry. I keep forgetting to do that, but I'll make it up. I'm pretty smart. So our first guest, this is a Chicago native. They are a wonderful comedian, wonderful performer, and I would never say this to their face, a dear friend of mine for many years. Please welcome to your ears, Rolando Lepe.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I have never heard you say you're my friend. Oh my God. This is big. This is big time. This is big, big.
Absolutely. Big. No idea what you're talking about. I don't even know who you are. Okay. Our second guest is from East Texas, North Texas, Northeast Texas, West, East,
East
Texas. Man, I know it well. All the way from East Texas, another wonderful performer from Chicago, who I know from Chicago. They also. Oh my gosh, the only person I can talk to about Buffy without being self-conscious. Please welcome to your ears, Cody Lindley.
The Xander of the group. Yay. Hello.
You hate him in the beginning, but you love him in the end.
Love him at the end.
The Cody Lindley story. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for doing this. You are soldiers in my mind. Spider-Man 3. I'm going to start with my story about Spider-Man 3. So I was so fucking hyped for this movie. It came out in 2007, my senior year of high school. And for us Chicagoans, Rolando, you also might recall this. This was the year the Bears were in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
I'm not a big sports fan, but my family is. And, I kind of get swept up in it. So the Bears had a very poor showing at the Super Bowl this year. And it put a real damper on the Monday morning coming back to school. So months later, when Spider-Man 3 was coming out, I went to the midnight showing on a Thursday. There were so many kids from my school that went there. There were like so many people wearing Spider-Man t-shirts, Spider-Man masks. It was like, we were so happy. Like we watched this long intro sequence to the movie. Did you find it strange that the movie recapped the first two movies? Like
but doesn't, it just is seen. So if you haven't seen them, you're like, what is this?
I thought it was kind of refreshing because I feel like a lot of times new Marvel stuff, you kind of forget what happens because there's so much detail. And I found this kind of like an old school way of approaching. And I thought, even though I have a good memory of the last two films, I just thought it was like, oh, this is very beautiful because it's the conclusion. And to wrap it up, I thought it was pretty amusing and pretty well done as a film person, I guess.
Sounds like we're split. But
I did like it. I just thought it dragged on a little too long. I looked at my phone and I was like, oh, this has been 4 minutes and it's still going.
I did a lot of time
4 minutes
checks.
Little did we know the phrase "it dragged on" would be something we would say a lot in Spider-Man 3.
Oh, I did plenty of time checks, and I'll mention them when we get to them.
Please do. But my first viewing of this, so we were cheering in the theater for this movie during this intro, and we saw what we saw, and we didn't cheer anymore. In fact, when we get to the end, when Harry Osborn dies, don't forget that happens, and Toby is crying, I remember the theater laughed out loud at his blubbering amphibious face, because he's part frog, and we were just laughing, and we had a terrible time. And I just remember going to school the next day, that Friday, I had the same feeling like the Bears had lost the Super Bowl. Everyone was really down. The mood was bleak at Willowbrook High School in 2007.
A day that will live in infamy.
and my buddies, the things I wanted to reveal on air, that was the last time I had ever seen Spider-Man 3. I have never gone back.
Whoa.
This is my second. Yeah.
I think this is my second too.
I don't think this is my second, but it's been many, many, many years since I've seen it. I've seen parts of it on TNT and stuff like that when it's on.
Oh, of course.
But never actually sat through and watched it. And it took me 2 sits to watch it. I finished the rest of it this morning. because
Damn.
I the last act I was like, I have to go to sleep.
Well, my choice is finishing Spider-Man 3 or rest. I will choose rest always.
And the
Yeah.
crazy thing was
Rolando-
it was 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, first question. So, Rolando, two questions. First one, Rolando Lepe, when did you go to bed last night? And then number two, what is your relationship to Marvel or the Spider-Man franchise? Like, were you a big Spider-Man fan when these were coming out?
Okay. I went to bed at midnight. So I was doing
Wow.
a late screening because I was making a nice little meal prep, and I wanted to get ready and get settled in. And it made
Shout out to meal preps.
I thought that Spider-Man 3 would be better than I thought. I thought it would be a little bit better. I was like, maybe like it's not as bad as I remember, and I still don't think it's that bad. I think it's bad, but that history of people having it, I don't think it's that bad. Hot take here already. And Spider-Man movies, I was a big fan, but I would never call myself like a big fanboy or anything like that with Marvel in general. Like I go out and see all the many films, and like some, don't like that many. With Spider-Man in general, I think I connected with more because I came on in the '90s with the cartoon on Fox Kids, and so I had all of my knowledge from comics through those cartoons, and that's how I approached the Marvel universe through cartoon, because I never read any comics. The only one I read a different comic that had nothing to do with Marvel, and it was just like, oh, this is very refreshing, and I thought it was like later and learning how the movies were made and the filmmaker, because I didn't know that was Sam Raimi who was making those at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I discovered him in his later films, and I was like, this guy is really good. And like, it's just a weird choice to make him direct Spider-Man in hindsight. I think it's so interesting.
Yeah, truly. So Cody, you said you had some insight onto the behind the scenes of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to ask, like, going off of what Rolando was saying, because, you know, the Sam Raimi of it all, he's a good director. It's the same cast. What can you give us any insight real quick? Rolando, let us know what is the not so bad parts of this movie.
I'll let you know.
But Cody, can you give us some insight? Like, was he hurt? Was Sam Raimi? Did he hit his head? What happened? Like, why was, like, I just can't get over that an adult watched this movie and said, no notes. This is the cut. This is the one we should.
He told them what
theaters.
to do and then said, no notes. This is what we're going with. Yeah. And, you know, I just want to also say I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed parts of this more than I thought I would, which I'll highlight later. But I will say
I'm confused. Yeah.
So from what I heard, what I was like listening to, Sam Raimi is a huge Golden Age Spider-Man fan, and he really wanted to tell a story about the people that are superheroes, which really shines through in the first two. You know, I think Toby Maguire is actually like a great choice with that in mind, for which I loved when he was announced when I was younger too. I was like, oh, he's a great Peter Parker, but I'll get to why I don't think he worked in this movie a bit. But like, yeah, so, you know, he was very big Golden Age. He wanted it to be Sandman and Vulture. He wanted it just to be the villains he knew and loved. Didn't want to do any other villains. The studio, Sony, was like, listen, we have to do Green Goblin. We have to pay off Harry Osborn's story. We really want that to be in this film, even though they thought at the time, Sam Raimi thought they were going to make a fourth. And he was like, why are you pushing this? Secretly, they had already planned to reboot the franchise. It got announced hours after this got canceled, after like Spider-Man 4 got canceled. But they pushed Venom. Producer Avi Arad was like, you have to do Venom. He's super popular with everybody. And it was I love Venom, but it was the early 90s, and he really was just big, beat up Peter Parker a lot in the story. So when Sam Raimi read those comics, he was like, I can't humanize this character. I don't like it. They argued, and then they were like, you know what, let's just do it. And the screenwriter even was like quoted after, he was like, based on how much there was to do, I recommended breaking it into 2 films, but we could not find a good place in the script and in the action that would make sense to leave it on, like to come back to. So they decided just to kind of bloat it out because of that.
And to tack it on, because Venom doesn't show up until like the last half hour of this movie.
Which
like
is not
30 minutes.
It's also like he shows up so early, and then you forget that he's there, and then he shows up in the last 30 minutes. It's really
it's definitely like that. A writer is like, how do I get Venom in this movie? He flies on a rock and just lands there, conveniently next to Peter Parker.
And the fucking DNA. I'm gonna swear a lot. Producer Michael, just be aware. I'm gonna swear a lot in this episode. The fucking DNA for Venom was there. J. Jonah Jameson's son is an astronaut, and he was in Spider-Man 2. He was engaged to MJ. She ran out him on their wedding. It's his story. He goes into space, and then he brings back the fucking rock, and they just cut out him, which is terrible because that man is extremely gorgeous. I would have loved to have stared at him in this film, but he's not here. So what we fucking get is the fucking web date thing, which I couldn't tell. Were MJ and Peter ever happy? They seemed so bored with each other when they're supposed to be blissfully happy at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's just, a rock fell, and it's like, hey, a motorbike? Let's hop onto this. It's so stupid. I want to rip my computer in half.
Because that's where I agree with you, Dean. Where I was like, this is so convenient that Venom just happened to find Peter Parker. Because I was like, like that whole explanation. Because I remember that from the cartoon, that the rock being brought from space, and that's how Venom became a thing. But yeah, I just thought it was funny because I was hoping like Venom just falls into like Brooklyn and finds like this pizza man and starts becoming like, I make dough.
I mean, yeah, it's nuts because in the comic.
wait, I'm so sorry.
No,
run that by me one more time.
Yeah,
because it's so convenient. Yeah, it's so convenient that he found Peter Parker. Like, why didn't he just like fall into like pizza shop? Pizza man. He's like, I'm Venom. Yeah.
Okay, it's clear to me now. Cody, what were you saying?
I was just saying, in the comics, he gets it through like a company-wide event, Secret Wars, and like clearly they couldn't show that. But I agree with you. I thought the comic version of like, hey, it came from space because of J. Jonah Jameson, or even if you didn't want to include him, just an astronaut. Like it would not be. He is a photographer for the Daily Bugle.
Anybody
and get him at hey, this space shuttle has come back to Earth. Wow. And here he is taking pictures. Like I just wrote it better than they did.
Like cut the fucking Bryce Dallas Howard falls from a big building scene and put it into a spaceship scene. What are we doing?
Is she good? Is Bryce Dallas Howard a good actress? I don't think so.
Honestly, it's unclear.
I didn't realize that was her until like, that's her. And I was like, I don't think she's good. And I started going through her IMDb, and I was like, I have never liked her in anything. And maybe she's a great person, but I just like as an actress, I was like in acting, and I was just like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
We're gonna get to her in a second. I did. Oh, Cody, did you have a quick thought?
Yeah. So
EDH?
Fun thing about Gwen Stacy, the studio insisted that they put Gwen Stacy in, even though Sam Raimi's like, we already did the death of Gwen Stacy with Mary Jane in the first movie. And they're like, no, she has to be in this movie. And her father has to be in the movie, which James Cromwell's a great actor and has nothing to do in this film except for 2 scenes. But originally it was going to be another random like woman that he saves. That's kind of a romantic interest, which would have bloated it out more. And the studio's like, no, Gwen doesn't have enough to do. Make it Gwen. Make Gwen be the woman.
Why couldn't it have been the fucking neighbor, the pie girl, the girl with the pie?
Ursula? Why?
Ursula, yes. Or as I call her, discount Lisa Kudrow.
I called her the European neighbor.
Well, she's already there. It's like, let's use the pieces on the board that we already have. Why are we bringing in a brand new character into the 3rd fucking movie of the franchise? Let's start back at the beginning. I'm getting heated. Let's start back from the beginning.
But still, not that bad, I think. Not that bad.
Rolando, text me your address. I'm going to go over and smack you.
Ding dong.
I want to start. Let's start with MJ. Is this her Broadway? Well, not her Broadway debut, but she's like the lead in this Broadway play, correct?
Right, I believe so. Yes.
What is the song that she's singing?
It's also so funny because it's like a 1930s-esque Broadway musical where she's descending down steps. There's no character, no dialogue, and she's just singing. And I'm like, this is not 2005 Broadway.
And in a twist that Spider-Man 3 could have used, I'm now instituting an acting challenge. Earliest time I've ever done this. We're doing the acting challenge early this time. I want to hear your best impression of Kay Dunst. I want to hear your interpretation of her singing at the beginning of this film. You don't have to get the words right, but like, give me that energy. How would you open up your Broadway show? I'm going to go last. obviously. I would never ask anyone to follow me in an acting challenge. So let's go to.
I'll volunteer. I'll go first.
Amazing. I wasn't going to say Cody, but amazing. Rolando.
All right, let me just put my chest out real quick. They say that falling in love is wonderful. It's wonderful. So they say. Then you hear Peter Parker, that's my girlfriend.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I like that we got a little bit of the commentary. That was very good.
That's great.
Yes. Cody Lindley, you're up next.
I hope you're ready for this. I am literally tone deaf. So, okay, let's do it. Look at these stairs. So many stairs. There he is. He is my boyfriend. And then we see Harry Osborn from the balcony look down at Peter.
I wrote my note, full Phantom of the Opera moment of him staring down. Beautiful, and also beautiful voice, Cody. Cody, whoever told you were tone deaf,
thank you.
They are trying to keep you down. I bet you
take that eighth grade community theater.
Oh yeah, I bet the person who told you were tone deaf is now a successful singer or musical theater performer because they were like, I got to get this guy out of my way.
Thank you, Damon.
Okay. Should I go? Or have we? Okay. Well, she's wonderful. So wonderful. I'm kind of doing a Nora Jones thing. See, thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Can I just point out
you.
too that I took this note and I texted Damon about it. It's supposed to be opening night, and outside it says it is the 2005 Best New Musical Tony Award winner, which means that it beat out Spam-A-Lot that year, which was the real life 2005 Tony Award winner.
God. What? The movie that delivers more haws than anything. Okay, so we get this debut. I think, is it time now? We're just going to go over the place, much like this fucking movie. Is it time now for the Goblin's return?
Yes. It was 17 minutes in. Because I was just like, this movie was we were taking a sweet time. And I thought it was like in the nature of before the MCU, movies can do that. I think they can take the little time and set up stuff. And I was like, wow, we haven't got to any action scene. Any at all or any type, and it was 17 minutes when Harry and his snowboard come, and I was like, huh. And it's also interesting where I kept thinking about, for some reason, have y'all seen Batman Returns?
Yeah,
the Tim Burton movie. Yeah. How there was there was so much like talk about why isn't Batman here, and there was more Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne, than Batman. And for some reason, I kept thinking about that, where it was like, we saw Spider-Man, but it was Toby as Spider-Man with no costume in his first action scene. I just thought I was like, why do this? And I was like, does Sam say, fuck you? This is for making me put Venom. I'm going to make this a damn musical.
I mean, truly. I always think it's like, maybe the actor gets paid more the more their face is on camera or something, or like, because I don't know. I'm barely in the industry, and by that I'm not in it. But yeah, that is interesting because there's a later fight between these two. Dare I say, very similar to this one, where Toby is like, also he starts doing this thing where when he gets the black Spider-Man suit, he just kind of like puts a hoodie over it, so you kind of see like the Spider-Man emblem, and I'm like, what are we doing? Just are you in it or not? Are you Spider-Man or not?
It's like when early CW were doing superheroes, like for Smallville, like they would never wear the outfit; they would just have like color schemes.
It's so funny to me because at one point, here in a bit, he takes it off. He takes off the black suit like it's a normal suit, and then later on, he has to like rip it off. And I'm like, consistency. What's happening here? Is it a symbiote or did it just become an outfit? Like, it's just ridiculous how.
Cody, don't do this to me. I have to defend Spider-Man 3 because it's because he rang the bell and loud noises.
No, I understand.
The symbiote.
I understand. I'm just saying early on, there's a scene where he like decides to take it off in his apartment and he just takes it off and folds it up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I totally get he's like gonna put it back on so it doesn't mind at that moment, but it doesn't look alien at all because you can tell they used just a black stand-in Spider-Man suit and it just looks so fabric. So for it to CGI look alien later, I was like, I'd wish like the suit rippled or did something. I understand it's early CGI. Some of it like Sandman works. Some of it like the later Peter Parker fight does not. Like,
don't talk to me about the Sandman. That's my sore spot. We'll get to that bitch. So they fight. Peter fights with Harry. It's cool. The fights are cool.
I think it's good. Like that moment with the ring and he's like reaching for it. I'm like, all that's done. That's where I'm like, oh, Sam Raimi knows what he's doing. And that's something where a lot of MCU films now kind of lack. Whereas like that's a great sequence.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, it's I'm not saying it makes sense in a story. I'm saying in the value in the action portion of this. I was like, oh, that's a good way set up. You get the ring. I don't know. I was like, you don't get that in like Ant-Man and Wasp Man.
It does make me think of Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings, when the ring flies up and Frodo's like trying to grab it and it first falls on his finger. It looked like a shot for shot remake of like when he's reaching. I was like, okay, Sam Raimi, we know another movie that just came out that used the same shot. Yeah. But yeah, the fight's cool. I mean, like it's a fine fight. I kind of wish they do remind us of stuff at the beginning as we talked about, but that fight feels so unearned. Like literally he's just swinging and Goblin shows up and is like, I'm going to kill you, Spider-Man.
My favorite is when he's like, you knew this was coming, Pete. You knew I would inject myself with my father's Green Goblin serum, get a hoverboard, attack you by surprise. You knew this was coming.
This is on you.
But again, like not that bad.
Not to be so gonna punch you. Like not to be a stickler, but like as someone who has watched these 3 movies in a row, Peter at this point doesn't know that Harry knows that his father was the Green Goblin. Like Peter's putting it all together now. So it's like, how would Peter have known, this is coming?
Really? I thought he knew by 2.
No. So the sequence of events is that like, so, the Green Goblin gets impaled by his own hoverboard. I mean, guys, this was all in the intro video, the 4-minute intro video of this movie.
Oh, God.
The PowerPoint.
Sorry. I was meal prepping.
The Goblin gets impaled. Peter decides to strip Norman Osborn of all his clothes and deliver him nude, wrapped in a sheet at Harry's house. Harry's like, oh my God, Spider-Man's a pervert and he killed my father. And so he's like, I vow revenge. Dr. Octopus, bringing Spider-Man, takes off the mask, sees it's Peter. And Peter's like, hey, fuck you. Gotta go. Gotta save my hot piece. So like, there's never a time where Peter's like, oh my gosh, are you, wow. Oh my gosh, your dad's the Green Goblin. Like he's never told him. Like Harry just found out because he found that secret room when his father screamed, avenge me. Michael, feel free to cut this whole scene. It's making me so sad. Anyway, the fight ends and then Harry hits his head and thus begins the amnesia plot.
The shortest 2-scene amnesia plot in a film ever.
I ache.
Also, I love that he gets amnesia. Peter takes him to the hospital and like waits as Peter, which is also so funny because like, does Peter expect him to have amnesia or something? Because he's just kind of standing there and like, if he didn't, he would wake up and be like, Spider-Man, and immediately start fighting him again, I assume. So it's like odd. And then Peter just handles it so poorly because he's like, yeah, oh, you don't remember? Cool. I'm just going to talk to you like we're old buddies again. And
well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, talk to me. Rolando Lepe, talk to me. Rolando, aka Not That Bad Lepe. How did you deal with Peter Parker's personality?
It's different. Me, it changed because now he seems like he doesn't remember conversations or have any sense of memory. I wonder if that's where like this writer in the movie was like, I want to make him more of aloof and treat people poorly to his friends and to his family. That's why for some reason he doesn't realize that Mary Jane is no longer employed and working as a server or some shit. And I was like, this is never a conversation you're gonna have. Like, hey babe, how was the play? No, I got fired. I'm working at Chili's now. I don't know. Like, it just seemed like Peter Parker was like a completely different character now. I don't know.
Like before the black suit infection, he was already such a dick.
Because I took a note on this and I was like, is Peter's attitude, even though he does not have the black suit yet, is it supposed to be subtly being influenced? Because he is such a, like, from that moment on, when it latches onto his motorbike, he starts doing small jerk things, but it doesn't make sense in the rules of the world for him to start doing that. Like,
absolutely.
The parade. Like, why would Spider-Man show up and like display himself as this person? Like, even though he was always a menace, you know, it seemed like a different character as Spider-Man. But I don't know. It was like, why are we doing this?
And he's also like, it seems to be the idea is that he's got everything. He's got the girl, he's got the love of the city, but like, he's not celebrating any of the other things. It's like, he's like, oh, I got the girl and everyone loves me. Let me immediately bask in their love for me. And he's like, he immediately neglects his girlfriend, which he tried so hard to like lock her down. And he's like, doesn't do anything for her.
And it's, oh my God, that kiss was, I wrote like, in no world is that kiss a good idea. His girlfriend's in the audience. He knows it, which, like, granted, no one knows who he is in Spider, but he's like, hey, you can kiss me. Go ahead. It's for the cameras, which is just so cringy of a superhero to save someone. And then someone in the audience, we've all been at an improv show where someone yells kiss. And I'm not going to turn to the person and be like, hey, it's okay. The audience wants this. Because that's what he does. He's literally like, hey, in front of my girlfriend and all these people, take my mask down a bit and give me a big old smooch.
This whole franchise likes to continue the lie that kissing someone upside down is a natural thing human beings do. Like, oh, you're upside down? I must kiss your chin, please.
Now, Damon, have you kissed anyone upside down? Because I could see that for you. Just to be like, what is this like?
I mean, of course, I have many lovers, but it's never good. I wouldn't recommend it. Ugh, God. Okay. You know, we got to take a break. I usually find a transition, but this movie doesn't. Listener, if you're still with us, you're a soldier, and don't forget it. You're a soldier of the night. I don't know what that means. Let's take a quick break. Let's take a breather. If you got to pause, walk away from this podcast. Come back, though, because we've got so much more to talk about. We've only talked about the first half an hour. Podcast 616 will return in a minute. Please come back.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us and then listen in.
Hi, my name is Sam Post, owner of Phenomwell CBD store and PhenomwellCBD.com. That's like phenomenal, PhenomwellCBD.com. Tune in where we talk with experts about how the amazing hemp plant can make a difference for people's health and well-being from the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, this is Don Mike Mendoza, the host of Producing While Asian. Join us in Season 2 for more conversations with actors, artists, producers, and more from Broadway, Hollywood, and beyond, every other Wednesday on the Press Play Podcast Network.
And we're back. All right. So there's a lot of things happening in this movie, a lot of emotional turns, a lot of character assassination, a lot of villains. But I think the one thing, it's not even my least favorite thing. I think the one thing that absolutely does not work at all, 100% a big flop, is the Sandman. I can't see or think of a world where this would have been a good idea. Cody Lindley, what is your relationship to the Sandman like?
So I'm a huge comic fan. So like I grew up on comics, read them all the time still. I like that character well enough. But I think in this film, what really threw me off and kept me on the wrong footing the whole time is making him Uncle Ben's killer. It doesn't make sense. It like felt so pushed in there. Whereas Spider-Man could have just been someone who stopped this small-time criminal, and that's why he gets his vendetta. Because he's like, I was robbing to help my daughter, which we can empathize with a lot more. Because like the scenes he gets aren't great. They like don't make sense. They don't make him empathetic. They didn't have time to like make him a humanized character. Like, yes, okay, he has a daughter. Great. Like, cool.
He's sick with something.
Yeah, she's got plot sickness is what she has. But like, yeah, I just think that he doesn't really work. I do think that one of my favorite fight sequences is Black Suit Peter and him. The cinematography for that fight, because Sam Raimi's like great at doing B movies, and I feel like sometimes he really got to shine in the fight scenes with that. And then and that fight is good. But yeah, I mean, even at the end, like it doesn't make sense. We'll get to some scenes later with him that I have some thoughts on, but like none of his characterization makes sense, which stinks because I like Thomas Hayden Church as an actor. He's great. He's a good actor, and he like looks like Sandman. But yeah, I just don't think it's he just doesn't have time.
That's so interesting because I don't enjoy Thomas Hayden Church, and this movie just reaffirms my beliefs. So I feel vindicated. Sandman, more like Sad Man. Rolando Lepe, how do you feel about the Sandman?
Thomas Hayden Church, I'm only familiar with him by one other movie, and that's George of the Jungle, where I think he's excellent, and he should have won an award for that movie. I think he's really good. His comedic timing, I wish he was in a sitcom, honestly. He should have been a 2000s, like My Name is Earl sitcom with Thomas Hayden Church.
He was in a sitcom.
Was?
He was in Wings.
Okay.
He was in Wings, yeah.
Well, I didn't have
Rolando,
cable.
did you come on? Did you come on here to troll this podcast?
I didn't. I think he's funny in George of the Jungle, and but I find it kind of strange how he got his powers, because it just felt like they were just running a science experiment in the middle of a swamp where there was no fence. And what were they doing? I still don't understand. What were they making? Like better sand?
Yeah. They were trying to make living sand, obviously.
Also, can we talk about that? The line is they're like, oh, there's a life sign in there, and the other scientist goes, probably a cat, it'll run away.
Oh, no, what? They're so casual. There's like, whatever. Like my life's work. Let's just go.
I'm a scientist. I'm fine with variables I don't understand.
Yeah.
Cat loose.
Let's run this experiment in the middle of Central Park, where obviously there's a giant hole. Even a police officer was easy to just walk around. Oh, where are you, criminal? I don't know. It made no sense.
The Sandman. And what does he do? Is he trying to like get money to raise for his daughter's surgery or something? He's also an escaped convict.
It seems like she has some type of illness that's like very, very expensive. I was just looking at it. I was like, she had a crutch, I believe. And I was like, does she have polio? Yeah. Like, does she not get a shot? Or like, it didn't make sense. And like, I also felt like that family, they felt like they were living in a different time period. The entire apartment felt like, is this a family from the 50s? And maybe that's where the Sandman comic, I don't know about that, how it comes. But I was like, this is a different era apartment. I know New York is old, but this seemed like a very not 2007 apartment.
And like, it's also so weird because this is like the first villain in all three of these movies that is not directly connected to Peter in some way. Like even Dr. Octopus, they had like that teacher mentor relationship. You know, he at least met him before. Like this is someone with a backstory. I don't even think Peter learns about his backstory, because that's your thing. Peter Parker is so bad at investigating these villains. Like he meets these fantastical people and he just goes, okay, time to go to work. Like, well, do you want to know more?
It's so funny too, because all they do is, the only way they tie it in is they're like, they bring them into the station and they're like, turns out we got the killer wrong. It was this guy and we weren't going to tell you, but he just got out of prison. So guess what? And like, Peter's like, what? And also like, it makes no sense because it makes the whole, like that character who died. Like Peter doesn't even think about like, oh my goodness, I killed a man. He just, an innocent man. He just gets mad. And then he's like, well, time to kill another.
Right. And we'll get to his conversation with Aunt May. Aunt May is really on the back burner in this movie, and I'm fine with it. Rolando Lepe, you mentioned something about this movie that you wanted to bring up. Would you like to reveal that now?
Yeah, I wrote wigs, and I think that was the only thing I ever wrote down when I was watching the movie last night and this morning. But I think it's more wigs and hair. Everyone's hair is like unnatural to their face and body, and it bugged the hell out of me. Like it starts with, I believe, Kate Dunst. She's a blonde naturally, and she's a redhead. The other Bryce Dallas Howard, I know she's a redhead and she's a blonde. But then, okay, whatever, that's fine. But then there's Topher Grace with orange hair, like Dijon mustard hair. Then you have Jameson with his hair beat.
I would say everyone at the Bugle.
Everyone there.
Everyone.
Elizabeth Banks has that other wig.
The bob.
The bob, yes.
The wasp bob.
And I don't know why, but it kept like taking me out of the movie. Like I was watching like a live play.
Yeah, I could foresee at that time period them like, yeah, that's what we're doing. This is theater. I want to take us from Bryce's wig because that will take us to the set piece of the rogue crane. This makes me so mad. I love this scene, but it does not do anything for the movie. Cody, do we get anything from this building crashing and women falling from the heavens?
No, it just happens so that we can have a reason for Spider-Man to kiss Gwen Stacy later. Like that's literally it. It's a very confused. Everything with Gwen's very confused because also they, we'll get to this in a bit, but like she then goes on a date with Peter, but there's no indication she has a crush on Peter. She kind of gets a crush on Spider-Man. So that doesn't translate. She doesn't know. And she's dating Topher Grace's character at the beginning, like Eddie Brock for no reason.
Is that true? I thought that was a lie.
Yeah, because that comes out that Eddie Brock is telling everybody that he's dating her, but she's like, we've only been on one date.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that line.
Everyone in this movie is horny and crazy. I've never felt more flaccid in my life.
You weren't horny about Topher? Hot Topher? Muscular Topher? Bad boy Topher?
I want to flush Topher Grace down the drain. He makes me so mad. Is anyone here for Topher? Is anyone here for Topher?
I thought it was interesting.
The podcast is dead quiet.
I thought it was interesting. And when the casting happened, like Topher Grace, I thought it was interesting.
Like saying your date had a nice personality.
No. Because I didn't know. I don't remember them showing Venom in the trailers or anything. Maybe I'm wrong. And I remember, Topher, very, from that same show, very slim build. So I thought that when he would become Venom, he was going to turn into this muscular giant man. And I thought that would be such a different look for him. And like, even though it probably wouldn't be him playing that person. But I was kind of like, oh, I don't mind him that much. I think his orange Dijon mustard hair threw me off the entire time. Then he got like weird fangs when he became Venom. Yeah. And why the whole thing about Venom still bugs me. That's part of the thing that my gripe is like the Venom thing is where like
that one thing.
It's a one thing. It's a one thing besides the Dijon mustard.
Well, let's go to Cody Lindley, comic book expert. Thank you for being here. Eddie Brock, what is he supposed to like look like and be like? Because he's supposed to be like kind of a dumb jock guy, right?
Yeah, Eddie Brock is he is a photographer, that's true, but he's like big, like if you think of the modern Venom films, they do a pretty good job of Eddie Brock. Like he is muscular, he is kind of, especially early on, a little corrupt, which is, they kind of get that with the Topher. But yeah, I mean, he's big, he's angry. And that was most of the characterization they gave him because they wanted him to be a hulking strength-based versus a speed-based Spider-Man. That was kind of the thought. But Sam Raimi talks about one of the reasons he did it this way was he thought, I'll play with the dark version of the character we know. Eddie Brock is the same as him. And literally, I think that's why they casted Topher. They're like, Toby Maguire, who's similar? Topher Grace. And I hate that thought because he's not a bad actor, but he just doesn't... Like, he doesn't have that Parker, you ruined my life, I'm going after you. He's like snarky the whole time. He's like, from the moment we meet him.
I mean, I was going to say, if you want similar to Toby Maguire, Elijah Wood is just where was he? That's literally a 1-to-1.
Also, imagine tiny little Elijah Wood then getting the Venom and then bulking up. That would have been cool as hell.
It would have been. That would have made me happy. All right, let's deal with the Bugle. I feel like I have not been talking about the Bugle in any of these Spider-Man podcasts. So this is it. This is the time. This is the Bugle segment of the podcast. If you want to talk about J.K. Simmons, Elizabeth Banks, this one mystical black man who seems to know Peter Parker Spider-Man, but we've never really understood why. He just knows.
I like the Bugle. Anytime I'm in the Bugle, I enjoy myself. I wonder if they were like Disney. I imagine Disney Plus being like, we're gonna make a series called The Bugle, and it all deals about like a 3-camp sitcom in The Bugle. I would be down for that. Yeah, and JK could be like the Michael Scott of The Office and stuff. But I thought it was pretty fun. I don't mind the Bugle. More Bugle. Hot take. I love the Bugle.
This guy loves the Bugle.
I'm into the Bugle in every other film, but this one I feel like they didn't give him as much to work with, which it's just better than that. Because you're right. I love Betty Brant. I love the various characters, but like for this movie, it's literally like the first scene is Eddie Brock comes in and is like, I'm a photographer and I want a job. And then the next scene that comes in is he's like, I posted a fake picture of Spider-Man and now they're giving me a big award. And then the third one is just Spider-Man comes in as a jerk and is like, if you want these photos, you're giving me a staff job. Those are the only 3 scenes we get with that. And it's like in the past, it felt like Sam Raimi really did a good job with world building where I thought we were in this New York. And in this one, it's so fast. I just feel like he's like, you expect to see this, so we're going to see this, without a reason.
Yeah. And for me, these Bugle scenes, this could be a testament to me watching too much improv, but it felt like I was watching an improv scene. It felt like the cast came up with these bits and it was just really, but like it was bothering me, like the whole pill thing of like this one, like,
my God.
I was like, this was not funny to begin with, and you did it for 3 minutes.
Yeah,
your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On it. Oh, go ahead.
I just like the Bugles, all that stuff. Is it? I think they just started making Jameson into like a joke and everything because he gets consistently like kind of shit on the rest because he's like he gets muscled into be like the fake photographer, the job. But then later when he needs a photographer with the camera with the little girl, like he keeps being like doped. And I was like, how's this guy running?
I'm going to tell you right now, in 2018, J. Jonah Jameson got canceled. There's no way that man survived Me Too. There's absolutely no way.
Oh, absolutely not.
He got Me Too'd. He's out of work like Harvey Weinstein. And I'm here to tell you this. If you thought, oh, I love J. Jonah Jameson, that is a problematic man. You know he's cheating on his wife. You know it. I will take him. I'm going to take him. I'm going to write a fucking expose to take him down.
I mean, you're not wrong for sure. The whole thing is he's terrible in the comics. He goes and starts the Fact Channel, which is just a parody of Fox News. Like the whole thing is he just hates Spider-Man and he creates the Fact Channel. He's like, we're not here for bias. We're here for facts. And he becomes the anchor of that. And it's like their way of taking the piss out of Fox News. So I love J. Jonah Jameson as a punching bag. I think that's very fun. Sometimes he can have like a bit of like a nice relationship with Spider-Man, but their relationship always works best when he's the worst.
Absolutely. And the one thing I'll say, I think these movies are trying to recreate that Christopher Reeve Superman magic. And, The Bugle is like the Daily Planet. So here you go. Compliment for Spider-Man 3. I think they do a good job of maintaining the world that they've built a little bit. I would agree, Cody, it's a little bit faster, but like there's characters, like he has his neighbors, he's got the Bugle, he's got Aunt May, MJ, Harry, like there's people in his life, which makes the Gwen Stacy thing so weird. I want to take it to, I think, are we at the date? Are we at the
Give Me Some Shade?
No, we're a little early because I want to talk about that breakup scene if we can.
Oh, post the kiss?
Post the kiss, the breakup scene.
Cody, I'm going to give this to you. this is all Cody. Walk us through this breakup scene and give us the play by play and tell me why it makes sense, because I don't think it does.
It doesn't. So, okay, James Franco gets his memories back in the second scene. He has amnesia because MJ's like, I can't kiss you anymore after she kisses him once. And he's like, oh, I remember. Then he goes to her house, holds her up by the throat, and is like, if you don't want Peter to die, you're going to do something for me. Cut to Central Park. She calls Peter and she's like, come meet me at Central Park. He shows up with flowers. She's on a bridge. He walks up to her and he's like, hey, what's up? And she, somewhat emoting, is like, this isn't working. I can't do this. We have to break up. And it's such interesting dialogue because they keep making her say things like, I can't do this. It's just too hard. And you're like, if she is flirting with the idea of telling him something, she could easily have been like, keep acting sad. We're being watched. But here's what's going on. But instead, she breaks up with him, and Toby Maguire, like a piece of cardboard, just stares at her, unmoving. This is the love of his life. He's prepared to propose, and he just goes, what? No. And then he starts like blubbering out of nowhere. He leaves, and then you see that from the shadows, Harry Osborn, James Franco, is watching, smiling, which honestly, I loved him as this like just shit-eating grin villain. From this moment onward, he is very fun when he is like having a master plan. He's just like, and then he kind of like winks at her and she gets really upset. And I'm just like, what just happened? Because like, she knows he's Spider-Man. She's not directly in danger. Like, it would have made so much more sense if he was holding her hostage and she called to break up with him.
She could have sent him an email. Do you want, like, Harry Osborn is not smart enough to hack her email. She could have, like, you could do text. You could be like, oh, heads up, GG after me. GG short for Green Goblin, not Gossip Girl. Like, why?
Good game.
What are we like Mary Jane is like, well, I'm stumped. I've been threatened to break up.
Also,
Spider-Man.
The direct follow-up scene to this is Harry and Peter talking about it at a cafe. Yeah. And then he's like, I don't know where it came from. And then Harry's like, yeah, I'm the other guy, which is hilarious. Like, because he like kind of tries to be sympathetic. And then Peter leaves after being really upset. The waitress comes by. My favorite James Franco moment. She goes, how's the pie? And he goes, oh, it's so good. And then he turns around, sees Peter, and winks at him. That's one of my favorite scenes in this movie, because I was having a lot of fun with how B-movie it was. Retroactively, after the third act, I remembered why I disliked this film, because I was really, I had to watch it over a couple of days too. And I was like, why did I not like this film? If you watch it from a B-movie angle, it's so fun. The characters are fun. And then the third act ruins all of it.
Because they try to like, oh no, we're a superhero movie.
Yeah.
We can deliver.
Let's have a fun cooking scene where we play the twists. And I'm like, and then we're like, let's make an omelet at 10 o'clock at night.
Rolando, where were you when they did the twist? Where were you when these 20-somethings living in 2007 New York City put on the 1960s pop song, The Twist?
You didn't do the twist on your
Where were you when Kirsten Dunst and James Franco put on Chubby Checkers to dance in this major motion blockbuster film? Are you fucking kidding me?
And
Michael, check my levels. I'm popping off.
I love there's like, I never found the GIF, but I always look for the GIF of James Franco raising the volume, and he's like just nodding his head like a dumb idiot, like he's never heard music.
Damon, you talk about scenes feeling like improv. That scene felt like improv because he goes, watch what I can do. And then he flips the omelet. Most of it falls. And MJ walks up and kind of quietly, like she doesn't know if this take is going to be used or not, goes, we can still use this half. The omelet. It's like, what is happening? Also, he tells his butler, he's like, go get us food. And he gets him peppers and eggs to make an omelet at like midnight.
That butler. Remember how that butler revealed it? That's where it is. That's where
that's the yes,
butler
I have
reveals
that.
to Harry. Wow.
I had that in my notes. Oh my god.
Let's save that for later. Let's try and go to, or let's land this fucking bird as best we can. I think it's time for the bangs. Are we at dark? As I put in my notes, the dark bangs. Yes, those of us without more prominent receding hairline. Get your bangs ready.
Oh, this is the fun Sandman fight. Yeah.
Is this in the sewer?
Yeah, this is the fun Sandman fight where they're fighting between the subway trains because that leads to the hair.
Yes. Okay. Yes. This is where he's my favorite trope, often seen in fantasy and superhero, and sometimes sci-fi: the avenging of your father's death, or father figure. Toby's out for blood, or out for sand, I guess. Wants to get his hands dirty. Cody, talk to me about this scene. You love this scene.
I do love this scene. I thought this scene was super fun. I'm fuzzy on what led to them fighting, but essentially he's like, Sandman, I guess, is doing something wrong, and Spider-Man has found him, knowing Flint Marko was the killer. Knocks him down into the subway, and then this is just visceral. I don't care if you know your enemy's made of sand or not. The very first thing he does is punch him, grab his head, and hold it against a subway train, and you just see the grains of sand, and he's screaming. He's like, ah, as it's ripping away from his face, and then he punches him, and this is my favorite B-movie moment in it. He punches Spider-Man, who backs up comically into one train, hits that, bounces off, still backing up comically into another train. So they fight for a while until Spider-Man knocks him down, realizes water's messing with him, and then mercilessly sees a giant pipe, breaks it open, and it washes him away. And they linger on Sandman turning to sand, mud, like we're supposed to care. But like, he just like kind of gets washed through the grate. And then he's like, walks outside, looks himself in the mirror, puts hair in front of his face, which is so stupid. And that scene is like 45 seconds. And then he looks at himself and then walks away.
I just want to go back real quick and say this movie is very fast and loose with like the damage you can do to Sandman. Like sometimes you go right through him, other times impenetrable. I want to go to Rolando Lepe. Talk to me about Aunt May, because I think this is, it leads to the scene where Aunt May, like, remember when like Peter Parker's like, I did it, Aunt May, I murdered that man, and she.
Oh yeah,
how did that scene land for you?
This is where I was kind of drifting off. I think Aunt May kills me in every part she's in the series. I kind of like, God, why does Peter listen to her? I don't like. To me, as if I had that was my grandmother, and I was like, or my aunt. I was like, you're such a buzzkill. Thank you for the shelter. Thank you for raising me. But once I'm in that college, I'm at NYU, I am never going to talk to you again, because she seems like anything like, oh, Spider-Man, he's a good guy. You know, he helps all the people in New York City. You remember when he helped me when I went to the bank and Joe McHale didn't give me a microwave?
You remember? I was like, ooh.
Oh. I don't know. The Aunt May character never has worked with me. I still don't think it works with me, even current MCU. I'm not a big fan.
Well, I mean, current MCU, she did.
She did. More
spoiler. All right. I truly only want to talk about two more things. So this is your last call. This is your call. What do you want to talk about in Spider-Man 3? What else?
I don't know if you're going to go to this or not, but the next time that Harry and Peter fight, which is pretty soon after this, my favorite line in the movie is Harry says, I wrote it down. He goes, I protected you in high school, and now I'm going to kick your little ass. To which Spider-Man, full on evil Parker right now, goes, ooh, and like does gas fingers, which is one of my favorite exchanges in this film.
I actually did like this fight because I loved how he beats Harry and he's like, yeah, you little bitch.
Oh, and he just like blows him up. He's like Harry's like, I'm gonna kill you. And Spider-Man's like, no, you're not. You're dead.
He slingshots the bomb back at him. The pumpkin, the not quite pumpkin, but pumpkin-like bomb back at Harry's face. And he's just horribly scarred for the rest of his life, which little did he know, not too much longer. Okay, that's a cool fight. Anything else before
I want to talk about the play. The jazz club. Can we just talk about it real quick?
Yes, please.
I figure everyone has talked about it.
The floor is yours.
I do wonder if Sam Raimi was like, if Peter Parker turned into a bad boy, what would he become? And I was like, you know what? He would love jazz.
Jazz and 70s funk, I believe.
And I remember being like, oh, this, and I remember being like, oh, like this is why this appeals to people. Then you start watching it, you realize no one likes this. Even the women he's doing the little finger guns to, they all look at him like, what the hell are you doing? And I thought I thought it was great. I was going into like, oh, that part's gonna suck. That part's gonna be terrible. I actually had so much fun with it, how corny it is and how ridiculous it is.
So this symbiote from space infects your body and makes you think thrusting your hips and doing the hustle will get people to like you.
There is one scene early that I do not like because Peter is just walking down the street. It's post breakup, and they show him just looking at women who are super into him, and his personality hasn't changed yet. And you're like, why are all these women into him? But I do like that they pay it off later, that when he's the jerk, he's still doing it, and everyone's like, ugh. But yeah, the jazz club is such a fun, terrible scene of like, also, I feel like those people's in breakups, like the petty person who shows up to your work and is like, oh, you're going to serve me and my new girlfriend dinner.
And like poor Gwen Stacy in this very Amish like dress that she's wearing. It goes down to her calves, and she's supposed to do a sexy dance looking like a cross between an Amish woman and a nun. And I'm like, what is happening?
Also, it's wild that everyone is into it while he's doing it. Everyone's like, yes, this is so cool. And then the second it's done, everyone is like, get out of here.
Yeah. You never gone to a live music venue and just jump on stage and play the piano and everyone's cheering you on?
No idea.
Which does lead to one thing that I feel like we should mention, which is what is the catalyst for the third act. He hits her. He hits Mary Jane because he's just punching people. Which also, like, he doesn't just like slap her. He straight up like elbows her in the face to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Boy,
that called me off guard. That caught me off guard because I remember like I guess I don't remember that part, and I just remember like, oh, this is kind of a darker, actually the darkest, the version I kind of wish Spider-Man was, like that darker tone as he's becoming a bad boy, and it never happened. Even though like the darkest he got tone wise was just being like, let me wear tight suits.
Yeah, but tight suits. But unfortunately, this movie doesn't do anything to buy that back. Like they truly rely on the fact that he's possessed by this space symbiote to kind of explain it away. Like, oh, he's a jerk because he's possessed, but he was already a jerk before it. And it's like there is a conversation there. Cody, you might remember this episode of the TV show Angel entitled Billy.
I'm aware.
Yeah. Do you remember the episode? This guy, Billy, when he touched men, he would like turn them into physically abusive monsters and like misogynist assholes. And like, it was this question of like, is he awakening what's already there, or is he putting something inside of them? And this movie could have gone there, but it was already going to so many other places. And I just don't think it was mature enough or deft enough to handle some of these darker things that they were trying to raise. It was a big flop.
And speaking of Aunt May too, and how terrible she is, he tells her, because this is the moment that he's like, I gotta take the suit off. I'm a jerk. I'm realizing that. I'm gonna do this whole thing. Then he goes to see Aunt May goes to see him, and she's like, did you propose ever? And he's like, which also he tells her everything. He hasn't explained that he broke up yet, but he's like, no, I hurt her, which granted could be ambiguous and stuff, but like we know he physically hurt her. And Aunt May's first thing is she goes, you gotta do the hardest thing, forgive yourself. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the message, that like you hit your wife and you should forgive yourself first. You should be like, that was a mistake that I made, and I'm fine with it.
I believe that's called being an enabler, Aunt May.
Aunt May's terrible. She should have gone and picked up Peter at the damn library.
Yeah, we're missing out on some Uncle Ben content. I'm honestly cool to zip to the end. Can we just go to the end?
Go.
Yeah. The only thing is how the villains team up is so stupid. Venom is swinging through the city. Sandman grabs him and goes, I hate Spider-Man, and is about to punch him with a big sand hand. And then he goes, well, then maybe we could arrange something. I've been looking for you. And it's like, you've been looking for Sandman? Sandman just found you. And that's it. That's the only thing we get. And then we're in the end.
Yeah. Truly, Sandman and the British reporter in New York City. I can't believe hot highs. Everyone just...
David, when that happened, I looked up and I thought the movie changed. I swear to God, I thought somehow in my Netflix the movie switched to something. I was I was so confused.
This queen gets so much screen time. This New York's best British reporter. She must have been stellar. I wonder if she's covering the Queen's death currently. But like everyone's so chill with there being like a second Spider-Man. And I'm like, this is a world without Avengers. Shouldn't this be the biggest fucking deal of your life? Like there's another evil version of Spider-Man?
Yeah. Like, because they even say they're like, we thought it was Spider-Man. We thought it was the black suit Spider-Man, but this one got teeth. So he's not. And it's like everyone's chill. And then Spider-Man has the audacity to go to Harry and be like, I know I just blew your face up, but I need your help. Like, also, Spider-Man takes on two villains all the time in the comics. Like, this is a moment, I think, where we could have seen him really come into his own and be like, he is Spider-Man. This is the third movie. He doesn't need anyone else. I get why they have Harry do it and like the payoff, but I thought, what a weak moment that he's like, my girlfriend's in trouble. I need to go save her. But first,
she's always in trouble. She's always in trouble. Like, I was fully expecting this British woman to like, oh, local victim Mary Jane Watson has once again been kidnapped by a villain and is strung up in a high place. She got taken by the Green Goblin, she got taken by Dr. Octopus, and she got taken by the Sandman. Like, she needs an escort. Stay at home, Mary Jane. You're not safe.
That thing about, I agree with like Spider-Man not needing Harry, because I was like, wasn't Dr. Octopus like a harder opponent than a guy who just throws sand? Like, I don't understand. I didn't understand that, and then it still bugged the whole Venom thing. Sorry, I have to go back to the Venom. Like, of all things, when he gets the suit, the Venom suit, why a spider? That doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't Venom become like something else? But I understand it has to be Venom. That makes no sense in general, because I was like, he just knows to shoot webs now.
I mean, I guess he learned it from Peter, because he was on Peter, and he's like, I'm giving a lot of credit to the symbiote, like it's all there. Yeah, he spent a week as Spider-Man, so when he got into Brock, he was like, yeah, I'll just do the same thing.
Well, that's one thing I think they messed up with Venom. Like, in the comics, the symbiote is like, and they don't reveal it for a while, but he is a living, breathing, thinking, like speaking thing, which is like, I would have loved if we like heard a voice like pushing Peter to do these things throughout, if we'd given Venom something beyond just being an organism, you know. But yeah, I agree, because it's like in the comics, you know, he's like, he is Mrs. Spider-Man and wants to kill him because he's not connected to him, which makes so much sense for like a symbiotic parasite. But it makes no sense in this movie. I agree with you, Rolando. It's like, why? He's like, well, I was just doing it.
Do you remember in Avengers Endgame when Iron Man apologized to Thanos and the movie ended?
Yeah, that was a weird moment.
It was a weird moment.
And we all accepted it and we moved on. I don't remember that happening. I just like, oh, that's how the fight ends.
Do you also remember that Venom takes time to put in a web big lettering, and the British reporter's like, there appears to be some big lettering occurring, and then it says, and then they show it on the news where it says, Spider-Man, if you think you can stop us, come try.
I want to be buried alive. From watching this movie, I really want to yada this ending. I mean, the black web looked cool. Once again, it looks great. I was telling producer Michael, this is the kind of movie you want to put on to see if you have a good TV. Like, if you want to see if your TV looks good, put on Spider-Man 3, put it on mute. But you know, Mary Jane is stuck in a web, whatever. The Sandman, they fight. Does Venom kill Harry, I believe?
I think
He's
so,
like,
yeah.
Stabs him with, great, cool. Harry dies. Truly, I could give a shit. Okay. What happens to Venom? Oh, he puts him in the little cage and bangs on the noise and
throws a bomb, and then Topher Grace is like, no, the bomb, and runs into and dies.
My career.
Which I love that we're empathize with him, that he is like, I doctored a photo which I knew would ruin me, and then he's like, my life was taken from me because I did an illegal bad thing.
And then the friends watch their friend die, and then Harry and Mary Jane dance. The
You
movie
mean Peter and
ends-
Mary Jane? Harry's dead.
Right. Honestly, it's hard to tell. The way this movie ends, it feels like the movie is almost embarrassed as I am for it. It's like, we're sorry. I think it's like a slow. You remember when you would do improv shows and the tech person would do a slow fade out when the show wasn't going well, but it needed to end?
I'm familiar. Former lights guy over here. I know.
That's how this movie ends. It ends like, ugh, we know it's bad. It's a slow fade, right?
It's a slow fade after they go, we really need Mary Jane to sing more jazz to Peter and then have them dance. And much like an improv show that has a slow fade, it's usually because instead of bringing back a theme from the beginning and ending it, the performers don't know what to do. And so they keep creating new things. And you just say, well, I don't know what to do for you.
But thankfully, listener, we know what to do for you. It's time now for our favorite segment of This Week and Every Week, Fuck, Marry, Kill. This week, because Spider-Man 3, there was an abundance of villains, we gotta fuck, marry, and kill some of these folks. So on the table today, Sandman, Green Goblin, and Venom. I'll go first to give my guests time to think. These answers, if you've been listening to my coverage of Spider-Man, might surprise you. To kill, I will be killing Sandman. I don't know. I don't want sand in my bed. I don't want sand in my life. He's just dirt. Also, the way he leaves this movie, he just floats and just he gets to fly away. He's an escaped convict. Like, he actually left prison for crimes he did commit. He's not like, he needs to go back to jail.
I forgive you.
So what I want to do, I want to get like a fan, and I hope that his dust blows into my blades and it kills him somehow.
Okay.
We get to kill the Sandman. I'm going to fuck Venom because I can get wild too sometimes. That'd be fun. From my memory, there's a certain tongue feature to Venom that could be delightful if used in the correct way. And Topher Grace, as I said in previous podcasts, for one night, I could do that for one night. Like, Topher for one night, Topher for one. Yeah, I could do it. Then my Mary, here's the twist. I'm going to marry Harry Osborn's Green Goblin because I think James Franco, this is the perfect curse for James Franco. He's good in Spider-Man 3, but at the same time, he's good in Spider-Man 3. What a curse. Some of his best performances are in one of the worst movies ever made. And I think that's so perfect for this horrible, horrible man. And I'm going to marry him just so I can remind him of that fact. Rolando Lepe, would you like to go next?
All right. I'm in a I think we're in a very similar boat. So I would kill Sandman. I hate his outfit. I don't like his fashion choice. I'm not a big
Green Waldo.
I don't like vertical stripes on a shirt. And I don't want
they're horizontal.
Horizontal stripes. Anti-horizontal stripes on a shirt. So I'm gonna kill the Sandman. I'm gonna fuck the Green Goblin but Harry has to wear the old helmet, the one with the mouth. Tom?
Oh yeah.
For the first movie,
alien.
Yeah, the alien big shaped head. Something about that I think I could be into, because like I do have a fetish over like masks for some reason, and I would be into that. And so, but he doesn't have to wear the outfit, just the helmet. I think that's good for me. And I will marry Venom. I think. Do I choose Venom or Brock? Are they combined together?
They're combined. Yeah. So you're getting two for the price of one.
All right, I'm gonna do that because I think we will get along. We could hiss at each other constantly, and I know Topher is a great editor now in films, so he might recommend some stuff. And I don't know if you knew that about that. He edits a lot of films now. His own, and I think we will have a lovely, lovely marriage. Have lovely Venom children, and I think we will have a nice ball.
Nice ball. Lovely. Cody Lindley, give us your picks.
3 for 3. I'm killing Sandman because he has no redeeming characters and is just a bad dad who gives his kids Tiny Tim disease.
He's a bad daddy.
Oh, you have a crutch? Don't know it. You're going to die.
Here's some mail.
Here's some mail. I think I'm not choosing to fuck Venom, but I think that we've all had a one night stand that we regret. And I think I went out one night, drank too much, and I wanted someone, and I ended up going home with Venom. And you know, just like the symbiote, a little too clingy after, I bet. And then I'm gonna marry Harry Osborn because the acting's phenomenal, and also he's dead. I'm rich. And I get to experience the butler monologuing to me about how he died. The butler's going to walk into a room and just be like, Master Lindley, Harry was the Green Goblin, or maybe the Hobgoblin. We didn't give him a name. And he died fighting Spider-Man. And I'll be like, oh, well, I'm rich now. So yay.
You get to inherit Oscorp, which is terrible because Oscorp just mutates people from what I've seen. Lovely. Okay. Guys, we did it. I'm so proud of you. Okay. I feel like I've been screaming for so long. Apologies for my levels. Spider-Man 3, I hate you so much. I will never watch this movie again. I want to rip it off of Netflix, crumple it up, chew it, and then spit it into the sun so it burns for all eternity. What's up? Rolando, is your hand raised?
Yes, I want to ask something. In all the Spider-Man movies you've seen so far, which one does this rank in?
Dead last.
Dead last?
I would rather watch Andrew Garfield's 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies that are not good over this one.
Okay.
This is a bad movie. Cody Lindley, your question?
I just wanted to say, you know, I got an email from Damon months ago, and he was like, I'm creating an MCU podcast if you want to guest. I know you love comics. And I was like, I would love to. And I was like, I wonder what project I'm going to get to talk about. And then I get an email last week that says, are you brave enough to watch Spider-Man 3? And I think, not an MCU film, and the worst one. And I say, I don't know what I did to Damon in December last time I saw him, but I'm so sorry.
You're forgiven. And also, it's tangentially MCU. Sadly, the Sandman. This is not his last appearance.
You are correct. Yeah, that is a good point.
I would. God, the fucking Sandman. Okay, great. Spider-Man 3, you're dead to me. People who are not dead to me are Rolando and Cody. Rolando, where can people find you on the internet if they want to look you up?
You can find me on Instagram at LEPENANDO. I mean, it's Lepenando. The same as on Twitter. And yeah, if you want to see some shows, we're doing some shows.
Oh yeah, I love shows. Cody, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at cody.a.lindley. And then, you know, occasionally do an improv and stuff around the Chicago scene. But yeah, that's where you'll catch me.
Nice. You can follow this podcast on Twitter, podcast616P3. P3 stands for Press Play Productions. Thank you, Jace, for letting me do this podcast. I'm sorry, I chose Spider-Man 3. You can follow me at Damon Royster on Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow me at Gay Frazier on Twitter and Instagram. That's gay with 2 A's because that's how gay it is. Producer Michael, bless your heart. Thank you for sticking in with us. If you want to hop on the mic, what letter grade would you give this podcast that we just did?
This is an iconic episode. S tier episode. S tier. But this is an F tier movie. So
it's average.
Oh my God.
I love it. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Everybody, I've been talking about Spider-Man for so long. I need to watch something else. So please, thank you for listening. Rolando, Cody, Michael, I love y'all. Have a great day. And don't forget that with great power comes even greater responsibility.